Hare Krishna, good morning everybody. Good morning Kim on the internet. Bhakti Keith Prabhu here in person. Shira Prabhupada, Six Goswamis, everyone there on the altar who is with us. So it's a very interesting, I feel it's going to be a very interesting session for me at least, because the past like 24 hours I was actually meditating on this verse that we're going to read today. Not because I didn't know we're going to read it, but because of something that happens to me personally, where I'm at. I was just browsing through different realizations because I read it exactly like a year ago for the last time, and and I find it quite significant that we reached this verse. It's verse 42 in the eighth chapter of the first canto, in a chapter entitled Prayers of Queen Kunti. And it's a beautiful verse, beautiful Sanskrit, beautiful translation, and very deep and moving purport for me at least. And I welcome you all to dive into this portion of the Prayers of Queen Kunti and see what comes up from your heart to your mind to your lips and to share with us. Either you watch it live or the rebroadcast. I'm gonna upload it on YouTube, so you're welcome to share in the comments below what are you experiencing through Queen Kunti here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Vai me nanya vishaya matir madhupate ashakrit rati madvata dhataha gange vagham udavanti. Vai me anya vishvaya matir madhupate ashakrit rati madvata dhataha gange vagham udvanati. Translation: O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you, without being diverted to anyone else. Purport by His Divine Grace. Hey, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Perfection of pure devotional service is attained when all attention is diverted towards the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is verse 42, chapter 8, verse Kentucky. Perfection of pure devotional service is attained when all attention is diverted towards the transcendental loving service of the Lord. To cut off the tie of all other affections does not mean complete negation of the finer elements, like affection for someone else. This is not possible. The living entity, whoever he may be, must have this feeling of affection for others, because this is the symptom of life. The symptoms of life, such as desire, anger, hankerings, feelings, or attraction, etc., cannot be annihilated. Only the objective has to be changed. Desire cannot be negated, but in devotional service, the desire is changed only for the service of the Lord, in place of desire for sense gratification. The so-called affection for family, society, country, etc. consists of different phases of sense gratification. When this desire is changed for the satisfaction of the Lord, it is called devotional service. In the Bhagavad Gita, we can see that Arjuna desired not to fight with his brothers and relations just to satisfy his own personal desires. But when he heard the message of the Lord, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he changed his decision and served the Lord. And for his doing so, he became a famous devotee of the Lord. For it is declared in all the scriptures that Arjuna attained spiritual perfection by devotional service to the Lord in friendship. The fighting was there, the friendship was there, Arjuna was there, and Krishna was there. But Arjuna became a different person by devotional service. Therefore, the prayers of Queen Kunti also indicate the same categorical changes in activities. Srimati Kunti wanted to serve the Lord without diversion, and that was her prayer. This unalloyed devotion is the ultimate goal of life. Our attention is usually diverted to the service of something which is non-godly or not in the program of the Lord. When the program is changed into the service of the Lord, that is to say, when the senses are purified in relation with the service of the Lord, it is called pure unalloyed devotional service. Srimati Kunti Devi wanted that perfection and prayed for it from the Lord. Her affection for the Pandavas and the Vishnus is not out of the range of devotional service. I'll repeat that. Her affection for the Pandavas and the Vishnus is not out of the range of devotional service, because the service of the Lord and the service of the devotees are identical. Sometimes service to the devotee is more valuable than the service to the Lord. But here the affection of Kunti Devi for the Pandavas and the Vishnus was due to family relation. The style of affection in terms of material relation is the relation of Maya, because the relations of the body or the mind are due to the influence of the external energy. Relations of the soul established in relation with the Supreme Soul are factual relations. When Kunti Devi wanted to cut off the family relation, she meant to cut off the relation of the skin. The skin relation is the cause of material bondage, but the relation of the soul is the cause of freedom. This relation of the soul to the soul can be established by the via media of the relation with the spirit, with the super soul. Seeing in the darkness is not seeing, but seeing by the light of the sun means to see the sun and everything else which was unseen in the darkness. That is the way of devotional service. Om Agyantaranandasyam Jnana Shala Shalakaya Chakshunavanitta Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master is divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada kindly opened my darkened eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto his lotus feet. Okay, so I thought before maybe I share if any one of you would like to say what's happening for you hearing this. I highlighted 2 things already, but if not, I can try to give you inspiration.
I thought it was just interesting what he was saying about just it's okay to feel those affections, but to just tie them in with Krishna, you know. So, and that's devotional service. So it's an interesting thing. Service as being like an active an active thing that I have to endeavor for. I mean, it seems like I would have to endeavor to do my internal work to make that conscious switch, you know. But as far as like activities and like expectations of what I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to be or whatever, then that's just, you know what I mean? Like it just seems like service. It's something that's active. It's something that I have to do. It's something so he's just saying it's just to connect those affections to God, and that's an internal thing. And I wouldn't have really intellectually come to that conclusion on my own to actually see that as a service. So.
Yeah, I like how you said in the beginning that it's, you mentioned, how did you say, you paraphrase that dynamic between like family affection and all these different things, that it's not separate from service, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually what Prabhupada, he right away, he makes a really clear analysis of that dynamic. To cut off the tie of other affections does not mean the complete negation of other elements, of the finer elements. Finer elements. What are these finer elements? I get from the rest of the verse, the finer elements is family, society, country, nation. Yeah, so I appreciate that.
He's saying, he's saying the affection is not just based on the skin. So it's just, there is a subtle difference. We understand that they're our family or whatever, blood, that there is blood relation where we're close to them. We have close proximity, but maybe some responsibility there because of just we're born in their life, but that it's not related on the skin, you know. So
I see that like in two extremes, that we might try to cut off this affection because we feel some bodily attachment, and then the other extreme will be that we completely merge into that relationship, which actually is not a relationship. It's a relationship to discovering, which is it's dead matter. There's no relationship with that matter.
Yeah.
But in between Prabhupada gives this like a golden rule, in a sense of that of devotional service. I mean, that's already specified at the end. That's kind of was my last highlight, that if the relationship based on the super soul. When I was reading it, I almost said spiritual master, but then I corrected myself, super soul. But it is like that. Our relationship is based on the spiritual master, either in the community, between God brothers, God sisters, family, husband and wife, children. It's, you know, that's where we meet, and that's where we take off to where we go afterwards. Hare Krishna, Prahlad Prabhu, good morning. So what comes from me too in regards to what you shared, Keith Prabhu, about and how we now extrapolating on that, to cut off the ties of all other affections does not mean complete negation of finer elements. We're reading, by the way, verse 42nd verse of the 8th chapter of the first canto. Is that these two extremes of cutting off from family and just dedicating yourself completely to spiritual emancipation, it might seem like a very detached move, but that's what extreme means for me. Extreme for me means attachment, because the soul is not extreme. There's nothing extreme about us. We're just a minute part and parcel of God. It's nothing that we should strive for to, be like, uh, be extreme in any sense. There's always a fine line and fine elements. Like the word actually in Hebrew, fine elements. No, that's in Russian. Fine elements is they translate it in like soft or fragile or intricate. I mean, fine too. I guess that's what it means. But for me, the meaning of that is like these things are not. They're never really to be neglected, never to be denied. They're never to be, extrapolated from our experience. Like in the spiritual world too, we have relationships. We have mother, we have father, we have wife, we have husband, we have brothers, siblings, sisters, animals. Like all these things are there. Unless they're there, how do we see them here? Like the experience of reflection from the spiritual world. We all are perceiving the reflections, perverted reflections. But although they're perverted reflection, it doesn't mean that we deny them. But that's what happens in the beginning of spiritual life. Prabhupada mentions in the purport to this verse, Bhavanam Janmanamante Gyanavan Ma Prapadite Vasudevasavamiti Samahatma Sudurava. In the purport, Prabhupada mentions that in the beginning on the spiritual journey, there's a tendency towards impersonalism. What is the criteria of being an impersonalist is negation. This is the criteria to negate. What is that? Yeah, negation of finer elements. Negation of finer elements. Just because I experience sorrow and disappointment in materialistic relationships, I kick out all relationships. There is a saying: throw the baby with the bathing water. You wash the baby nicely, and then when the baby is washed, you throw the water and you get rid of the baby too at the same time. So no, this is not it's not gonna solve the problem, because actually there is no problem. The problem is in our consciousness. And what is the problem in the consciousness? Is Maya. Maya, simply the word Maya translated to that which is not Krishna. So everything which has no Krishna there, either that's family or society or nation or religion, it's a cause of a problem. But as soon as we apply Krishna into everything, that becomes a source of our liberation. And Kunti Devi, she prays, she gives this, in my perspective, from reading this verse now, she makes a distinction between her attachment to the Pandavas, either as family members or as spirit souls, as servants of Krishna. And in this specific verse, she asks detachment from them as in the blood relation. Her affection, Prabhupada says, her affection for the Pandavas and the Vishnus is not out of the range of devotional service, because the service of the Lord and the service of the devotees are identical. Yeah, let's do something nice. So I think Kim, she wanted to share something before Keith started sharing, and then we just continued with the discussion. If you would like to.
No, I wasn't sure I did, but yeah, sure. I guess what hit me with the verse is, it sounds like, well, I'm sure it is, she's praying to want to be more connected, more devoted to Krishna than to her family. That part, the part that resonates with me is she wants that. She wants to be. She's praying for the desire to want Krishna more than her family. I mean, and the reason that matters to me is because I've always felt like that's for me been something I've always prayed for. It's like I always felt like everybody around me loved God, growing up in a religious family, loved God, and I would pray for that feeling to love God. Like I never felt like I loved
Your
him
family.
like everybody else around. And I would pray to want to have that. That's what I was praying for. Can I have that? You know, I almost feel like that's what she's doing too. I'm sure on such a much higher level. But anyway, I don't know. I'm not expressing that well, but there's something there that, you know, resonates with me. So
Yeah.
that's it.
She makes a distinction, like you're sharing how you prayed to love God more than anything. Actually, in the Muslim tradition, there is a nice prayer like that too, that you should love Allah more than your daughter, more than your son, more than your wife, more than your family, more than your community. So Queen Kunti, she expresses that on this really soft ground of her family, which are devotees at the same time. They are devotees, but Prabhupada, to clarify this seemingly contradiction, specifies that she makes this distinction to give us this aspiration to love God more. But in the same time, that's what I read this paragraph, that to love the devotees, to serve the devotees and to serve, what is that? Her affection for the Pandavas and the Vrishnis are not out of the range of devotional service, because the service of the Lord and the service of the devotees are identical. You see, this is too like one of the, I think, as I perceive that as a misconception in spiritual life, that spiritual life means no attachments. I'm just going to become myself, fully content, fully satisfied. I don't need anyone. You know, attachments. I scoff in attachments. It's a weak spot. But no, this is a very perverted understanding of spiritual life. Spiritual life means, yes, I am weak. I'm a part, the little particle of God. I'm almost nothing, almost insignificant. And from that actually there is so much strength. From that there is so much independence, because we understand what to really connect ourselves to. Which person really to serve, right? A little particle, he cannot survive without attaching himself to someone more powerful. And that's what we're all trying to do here in the material world. We're trying to attach ourselves, either husband to a wife or a servant to a master, to feel more powerful, to be more resourceful. So this is for me kind of one of the main points of the verse too, that we should not deny our propensity to be attached. It's part of the Tatashta Shakti. Tatashta Shakti, we are the marginal potency of God, marginal. We're neither completely material, neither we are completely spiritual. So what does it mean? That we have a choice right here, right now. We have a choice. We attach ourselves to matter, to dead matter, which has no endurance, which doesn't last, which is dead, or we attach ourselves to the Daivi Shakti, to the spiritual energy of God. And that spiritual energy, Daivi Eshaguna Mamamaya Duratvaya. No, sorry, that's not the verse, but there's this verse that describes not just that energy or God, it describes great souls who take shelter in that energy and how they are protected. Mahatmam tu Mahat Prata, Daivi Prakriti Ashtita. Bhajanna, maybe someone can help me with that. Anyways, yeah, these great souls, why are they great souls? Because they take shelter of the Daivi Prakriti, the internal energy of God. So we should attach ourselves to great souls like that. Attached, we must be attached. It's a phantasmagoria to think I'm gonna walk here in the material world and through 100% detachment I'm gonna go to nirvana and void. You go to the void and then you go back again to the material world. Yeyen rakshamena vimuktamanina ashta abhishuddha budaya. The unperfect spiritualists, they descend back to the material world. Why they're not perfect? Because they illusioned by this concept, I'm going to be in complete detachment from everything. But no, we have to be attached. So we have now we can make a personal choice to attach ourselves to devotees instead of people who are not devotees, people who are concerned with materialistic lifestyle. We have a choice to attach ourselves to the spiritual boss, the spiritual master. We have a choice to attach ourselves to a spiritual family. Right? I think we sometimes we have this this like meetings with okay, I'm not going to specify which meetings, whatever, but in these meetings this discussion aroused if there someone has to take sannyas or not. Sannyas is this concept that one leaves the family to execute better devotional service. But Prabhupada says if your family supports you in your Krishna consciousness, it's foolishness to leave them. It's foolish to leave such an association that supports your spiritual life. So if we out of desire to be very detached and we renounce association of devotees that elevate us into Krishna consciousness, then yeah, we miss out on the whole purpose of spiritual life. And it's not different, like Prabhupada says here, than attaching yourself to God. So that's okay. I'll add now what I wanted to share about this verse. So yeah, that's kind of everything that comes from me pretty much. O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn onto you, without being diverted to anyone else. Such a beautiful prayer. I personally sometimes before I go to bed, I recite this prayer just to be attracted to Krishna and his devotees. Yeah. There's another thing I'm going to share in this connection. Someone sent me this nice quote from Prabhupada's letters about that. But maybe some of you would like to share something in the meantime.
Yes, I was meditating a little bit on the visualization of the river and how that would look like. She's saying about without hindrance. So what would without being diverted to anyone else. Mm-hmm. So just and then relating that to what it's talking about, the attachments and the false renunciation of those attachments and stuff, like what that looks like in the visualization of the river, you know. So I guess like we have the, you know, I guess like the negation of the attachments would be like damming the river, putting things to block that flow. And then having these attachments for material things and relations would be like letting the river go somewhere, or taking the water out, I guess, or something, or putting it in
or jumping in and drowning.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not necessarily being one with the river.
Yeah.
But and then I was I don't know, relating it to like when I don't have that much realization on seeing people as devotees and stuff like that, but I mean, as I can look, especially over the last little bit, as I'm able to better relate to people, I mean, I don't really see people so much as spiritual beings. I have some indirect realization of it, you know, but so I can see how I'm learning to not relate to them based on their material designations, based on what they look like, based on what their superficial personality is, based on the fact that they're my family or my friend or my boss or whatever, that I'm able to start to have see something inside of them that's more heartfelt, more precious, more
The soul.
beautiful. Yeah, like the qualities of the soul anyway. Like I said, I don't necessarily, like for example, my boss from the last place, I don't necessarily, when I look at him, I don't think, oh, he's a spirit soul. He's an eternal servant of Krishna. But I'm able to see, I was able to see more of like what was in his heart, you know, and how his, you know, his love for his daughter when he's talking about her, and his frustrations that he was dealing with at work. You know, I was starting to be able to see how that those are the qualities of who he is, you know, and how that the frustrations is due to his desires or his consciousness being directed into the wrong things, you know. So I'm able to slowly start to see him and relate to him as a spirit soul, right? And then especially with certain people like the devotees or people that I really highly revere, like Radhanath Swami, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, or like Bhattahari Das. You know, it's like, wow, when you hear him singing, or when I hear him singing, or just look at his face when he's singing, it's just like I can feel that. I don't really understand so deeply that devotion, but I can see the beauty of it. Like he looks so soft, and the music that he sings is so beautiful and heart soothing to the heart, and so that's what I'm getting some realization, is that, you know, then when I'm relating to these people in the sense of that they do have these material qualities, and that it's more like I can see them. I can see Bhattahari Das is getting old. He's got gray hair and stuff like that, or whatever, you know. Or same with my boss, and that I have those, I can perceive those material relations, and I do kind of relate to them. But I can see how those devotional qualities or those spiritual qualities, in contrast with the material things, which those material things are actually become more like the bank of the river, you know, that they're more, it's not really something wrong or whatever, but it's what's confining the water, and the water is still going on its way. It doesn't hinder my capacity to show compassion for my boss. I can see those things. I can relate to the material qualities and where he's at and all these things. It's there, like the bank of the. There is an interaction between the river and the bank of the river. You know, they're two separate things, but there is some interaction there, and and to see how that connection to those spiritual qualities, especially with the devotees, to be able to, I can perceive how that's drawing me to the ocean. You know, so
The Krishna.
Yeah, I'm still kind of, like I said, my realization or my desires even towards him are kind of more indirect. You know, I can appreciate the devotees more than I can appreciate him, honestly.
Yeah.
But so that's also where I value the idea of serving the devotees. And
you're really experiencing that portion that Prabhupada speaks about how serving the devotees is more valuable or as good. But some places Prabhupada says
Yeah,
it's
well,
more
see,
valuable.
yeah. Well, like when I was listening to Bada Haridas and going through struggles, I remember at certain points, like basically just like really like begging him for his mercy, like heartfelt begging. Please give me your mercy. Please give me your mercy. You know, I never had that with Krishna. I mean, I kind of did it once when I was in Mayapur, and it's because I was suffering so much that couldn't even barely get out of bed because I was feeling so weak. So I said, "Oh, please give me your mercy." But it wasn't the same as with this power.
It was more accessible for you because you approached the devotee.
Yeah, I could see more so. I was just seeing that situation with I was more so seeing it as him basically punishing me or
But the heart?
No, Krishna. I was more so related to that as him punishing me or rectifying me for not being attached to this girl that I was attached to at the time. And then shortly after that, I found out that she got married, like that day.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so
what I feel from you, Keith, is that you have a personal experience of this portion of the verse that Prabhupada specifies that it's as good. Like it's not that, okay, it's only God. Okay, Queen Kunti prays to be attracted directly to Krishna. But Prabhupada goes into details and he specifies it's not just Krishna there. Krishna is with his friends, with his associates, and that is even, some portions Prabhupada says that is even more valuable, and you're experiencing that, but at the same time you don't want to confine yourself to confine yourself to a certain image of a devotee. You want to really perceive people who out of the range of like being externally, at least as a devotee, like your boss at work, maybe.
Yeah, and that's what else I'm thinking too. Like same with this situation when I was in my core. Part of the reason why I have a hard time connecting to him is the whole controller thing, right? That's why because he's controlling the situation and imposing on me, and that's why I have a harder time wanting to relate to him with somebody who's a really
Some devotee, or I don't understand.
To Krishna. But like somebody like Bada Haridas or whatever, that I don't have to relate to. I don't have to really relate to him or think about this weed or this anartha inside of myself that of him being the controller. You get what I mean? Like I'm resistant to open up like that to Krishna because he's the controller, and I'm more open to somebody like Bada Haridas because he's not the controller. You know what I mean?
Like, if I get it right, you felt that Krishna is purposefully taking you through suffering and punishing you.
Well, for purification, to purify or whatever. But that's what I'm saying. I was not really able to. When it comes down to it, is my attachment to being the controller, right?
So who is the controller in your experience, Krishna or you or a devotee? You're trying to connect to what? Because I feel that the controlling element like kind of ruins you from within. No, like is it so? Well, you don't like to be controlled by anyone.
Well, that's why we're here, right?
No, you, not we're speaking about you. You're sharing. So we want to connect with you, Bhakti Kid.
Yeah.
With your experience, not with everyone.
Well, I'm just relating it because I can only perceive it to an extent because it comes from the scriptures. That's why we're here. I'm here in this place
you sharing.
I want to the controller. Yeah. So I don't want to relate to him because I don't want to give up that concept of being the controller. But with approaching the devote, which that's the last snare of Maya, right? I'm the controller, I'm the enjoyer.
But do you really feel that you're the controller? Because I do sense from you that in the beginning, at least, you were saying that you feel bad, or I felt from you that it doesn't appeal to you that Krishna is, controlling the situation and makes the arrangement in such a way that you suffer or you're bereft of that girl or some situation or you, because I'm trying to understand in what relation you say that you are the controller or Krishna is the controller.
No, well, I'm just pointing out about how it's more easy to approach the devotees for me at this point in my advancement, because there's not that controller, that aspect of my ego doesn't get agitated of wanting to be the controller.
When you're with the devotees, you're less control.
Yeah, well, it's like why I have more of a feeling towards Radhanath Swami, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, or Bada Haridas, because I don't have expectations of them to kind of like make my life go the way that I want it to, right? Okay. So, yeah. But with Krishna, you feel like taking charge of the situation, and when you encounter that you're not in charge, it hurts you. It disturbs you. Well, it's frustrating. It's frustrating because you realize I want to be in charge. Yeah, I want things to go the way that I want them to, and I want to be happy, and I want things to work out, and I want my plans to come to fruition. I want to feel satisfied, and then so if I'm you have many wants. What? You have many wants with Krishna. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Something to meditate on for all of us. Thank you, Bhakti Keith, for sharing. Here's the verse actually that someone sent me, and I think it's relevant. It's a letter from Lindwing, 1973. Prabhupada wrote her. It's a quote from that letter. As soon as you have some attachment for anything material, it will kick you upon the face, deteriorate and disappoint you. It's bound to dissatisfy and frustrate you. That's a fact. In spiritual life, even disappointment. Disappointment, actually, we're reading in the Krishna book, right? Disappointment is the highest pleasure. But in material life, as long as we attach to something, it hurts, it gives us pain. Yeah. It hurts us, it frustrates us. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yeah, and that's what I was saying yesterday. I think it was yesterday about this. When I have attachment for the main, it was saying at one point in my life I felt so low that I couldn't even get angry at anybody. Like I had people be really rude to me, really very rude, and very condescending and stuff. And I would just naturally, oh, it's because of this or whatever. Like I didn't hold any resentment against them whatsoever. Like it wasn't even. Not even inclined to judge them. Like not even a battle. But, and how about God at that point? Did you judge God? Well, I wasn't really considering God at that point. I think I read the Bible a little bit, so I wasn't really. I had some little contact with reading about Jesus and that, so there was something in there, I guess, but I wasn't really thinking that much about it. But because I was humiliated, humbled by humiliation, But even at that point, I can look back and see the people that I would get angry with was my nephew, my brother, and my father. It was because I was attached to them in that relationship, them being in that relationship. So then I would feel think that I should be able to change them or control them, or that they should behave the way that I want them to. So that made me angry, that made me frustrated, you know? Yeah.
You wanted to control the situation that made you frustrated, but not letting you to adjust their behavior.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if that's how.
Yeah, it was all based on my attachment to them, my bodily attachment to them. That's why I would get angry with them, you know? Yeah.
Thank you. Before we continue to the next verse, would anyone like to say something about this verse? Or are we complete? There was one thing that came to my when Bhakti Keith was sharing about the false renunciation. I remember that there is actually a specific analogy like this in Sanskrit called Falgu Vairagya, and it's interesting that you use the metaphor of the river, because Falgu is actually, it's a river, it's a sandy river. Maybe some of you heard about this already, but it's a sandy river that it looks like a sand, like there is no river, but as soon as you put your hand inside the sand, there is a river underneath. So it's like the false renunciation. It looks like, you know, everything is very nice, very detached, no water, nothing. You can walk on safely to the other side, but if you put your feet there, you immediately drown into the river. Falgu, and Vairagya means renunciation.
Oh yeah.
Falgu Vairagya, false renunciation. And the false specifically stands as this name of this river in Gadhari. I don't remember where is it exactly. Maybe someone knows. Okay, let's read the next beautiful verse. She Krishna Krishna Sakya Vishna Rashabhani Durug Rajanyavam Shadhanana Pavarga Viraya Govinda Govicha Surati Haravatra Yogeshvara Khaila Kuru Bhagavan Namaste. Maybe Kim, you would like to read if you have the verse handy.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll be right there.
No problem.
Okay. O Krishna, O friend of Arjuna, O chief amongst the descendants of Vishnu, you are the destroyer of those political parties which are disturbing elements on this earth. Your prowess never deteriorates. You are the proprietor of the transcendental abode. You descend to relieve the distress of the cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees. You possess all mystic powers, and you are the preceptor of the entire universe. You are the Almighty God, and I offer you my respectful obeisances. Purport. A summary of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is made herein in Srimati by Srimati Kunti Devi. The Almighty God has his eternal transcendental abode where he is engaged in keeping I don't know that word, but Sarabi cows. He is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. He descends on the material world to reclaim his devotees and to annihilate the disturbing elements in groups of political parties and kings who are supposed to be in charge of administration work. He creates, maintains, and annihilates by his unlimited energies, and still he is always full with prowess and does not deteriorate in potency. The cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees of the Lord are all objects of his special attention because they are very important factors for the general welfare of living beings.
This is like directly from the Brahma Samhita. Chintamani prakara sadma sukha praviksha. Laksha Virteshnu Surabhi Abhipalayantam. So this word Surabhi that you were wondering about, Kim, Surabhi are the spiritual cows that give unlimited amount of milk. There's no limit to the milk they give. And they're Lakshmi Virteshu Surabhi Abhipalayantam. There are hundreds of thousands of these Surabhi cows. And then Lakshmi is Prabhupada who speaks about the goddesses of fortune. Lakshmi, don't remember. Lakshmi, anyone remembers that? I forgot.
But it's Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambram Sevyamanam.
Yes, Saharsha. Lakshmi Saharsha Sambrama Sevayanam. Thank you, Prahlad Prabhu. Yes, you saved us. So, yeah, thousands of goddesses of fortune. Yeah, I really like how Prabhupada puts in like so much nectar from everywhere, in this verse. We in the evening sessions with Hira Govinda Prabhu, we read from the 10th canto, and it's kind of reminds me of the scenery there that Krishna goes to help to find the cows, and the cowherd boys are kidnapped by Brahma. And then he replaces them, so we're just there, the 10th canto, the last chapter of Prabhupada's books that he gave purports to. Read another one, 44. Do you have Prahlad Prabhu, the Bhagavatam handy, or we can read?
No, I don't have it with me.
No
I'm
problem.
actually doing some exercise as well. I'm listening.
Okay, no problem. So we're going to read for you. Hare Krishna. Shuta uvacha pratayatmam kalapandaha pranitum kailato yaha mandam jasa vaikuntato mahayan eva mayaya. Bhakti Keith Prabhu, would you like to read?
Yeah, sure. Sutta Goswami said, "The Lord, thus hearing the prayers of Kunti Devi, composed in choice words for his glorification, mildly smiled. That smile was as enchanting as his mystical power." Purport: anything that is enchanted in the world is said to be a representation of the Lord. The conditioned souls who are engaged in trying to lord it over the material world are also enchanted by his mystic powers, but his devotees are enchanted in a way by the glories of the Lord, and his merciful blessings are upon them. His energy is displayed in different ways. As electrical energy works in manifold capacities, Srimati Kunti Devi has prayed to the Lord just to enunciate a fragment of his glories. All his devotees worship him in that way, by chosen words, and therefore the Lord is known as Uttama Shloka. No amount of chosen word is sufficient to enumerate the Lord's glory. And yet he is satisfied by such prayers as the Father is satisfied even by the broken linguistic attempts of the growing child. The word Maya is used both in the sense of delusion and mercy. Herein the word Maya is used in the sense of the Lord's mercy upon Kunti Devi.
Interesting. Maya can be used both in the sense of the illusion and mercy. Yeah, I guess Maya can be Mahamaya and Yoga Maya. I think Prabhupada mentions many times how Maya has a task to make sure that we're not causing disturbance to Krishna in the spiritual world. So she acts as the guardian agent of the Lord. There was a portion that for some reason, when I read it here, it was different, but I'll maybe, yeah. But his devotees are enchanted in different way by the glories of the Lord. His merciful being, blessings are upon them. Everyone is enchanted, but we are enchanted differently. Okay, let's go for the next one. Tam badaham aiti upaya mantraya pravishya gajasa havayam Shreyaschasvapuram yasyan premanaragya nivaritaha. Thus accepting the prayers of Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord subsequently informed other ladies of his departure by entering the palace of Hastinapur. But upon preparing to leave, he was stopped by King Yudhishthir, who implored him lovingly. Implored, what is this name? Word, implored. Beg someone. Beg someone earnestly or desperately. King Yudhishthir desperately begged him for something. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, no one could make Lord Krishna stay at Hastinapur when he decided to leave for Dwaraka, but the simple request of King Yudhishthir that the Lord remain there for a few days or more, days more, was immediately effective. The significance is that the power of the King Yudhishthir was loving affection, which the Lord could not deny. The Almighty God is thus conquered only by loving service and nothing else. He is fully independent in all his dealings, but he voluntarily accepts obligation by the loving affection of his pure devotees. Yeah, what comes to me when I read this purport, how important it is. Like Prabhupada, we mentioned in this 42nd verse of when Kunti prays to make her attachment fixed on God, and Prabhupada mentions in the purport that it's as good as serving God. It's serving the devotees is as good as serving God. And for me, this kind of makes this point that it's even more important to serve the devotees, to please the devotees, the pure devotees. He is pure devotees, because by their blessings we can approach God. He becomes approachable. Right. The verse in between that we read, Prabhupada kind of dives into this arrangement that Krishna has all these goddesses of fortune. Lakshmi, Saharsha, Sata, Sambrahma. No? Lakshmi, Saharsha, Sata, Sambrahma, Sevayanam. That worship, that serve him, Sevayanamam. So what does he need? What does he need us? We are here, in how many outnumbered we are in the material world. Still, he doesn't need us. God doesn't need anything from us. He's complete, Purnam. But because the pure devotees come here and they pledge to Krishna, look at these fallen souls, they want to serve you, and so please accept their service. And that's Vrindavan. That's the mood in Vrindavan. All inhabitants, they come to Radharani. If some of you been there, you heard, right? Everyone is saying Jai Shri Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. Everyone repeats Radharani's name, not Krishna's name, because they trying to pledge to the devotee, the best devotee of Krishna, Radharani. And if she accepts us, then Krishna is automatically, he's going to accept us. Because he is, like Prabhupada says here, he is obliged. He's obliged to his pure devotees. And yeah, especially pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, he did the impossible, coming here to the West and introducing us to Krishna consciousness. Even Krishna himself, even Lord Chaitanya himself, he didn't do that. There is a nice conversation that I picked up from our last discussions why Lord Chaitanya didn't come to the West. One of Prabhupada's godbrothers actually challenged Prabhupada. There was a big notion around Prabhupada Leela amongst his godbrothers that Prabhupada, he was just a businessman and he had success because he was good at business. It's a very, very offensive statement to consider, and pure devotional service, consider that as karma. It's very low class. It's not very elevated. Anyways, someone was saying like that, and the notion that came from that is that Prabhupada shouldn't have come even to the West. Why did he do that? If Krishna wanted that, well, he would have done it himself. That's portions from the memories, but the devotee that shares that memory, Shravananda, there's a morning walk, January 4th, 1976 in Nilori, somewhere in India, I think, where he asked that question of Prabhupada, because he was disturbed, like someone offends your spiritual master, it's such a disturbance, the counteract to that is committing suicide, or leaving the place, or contracting by arguments like that. But even if you leave the place, this really bad feeling sticks to your heart. So he came and submitted the question to Prabhupada. So his intelligence is specified, and Prabhupada, he answered in such an eloquent way. I'm going to read it to you. Would you like me to read it to you? Yes. So yes, Shravananda, Prabhupada, they said that if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted Krishna consciousness in the Western countries, why didn't he go there himself? That's what they told us. So it's not his question. And if you look in the Siddhanta memories, you can see who asked that question. Prabhupada, so he left the credit for me. And Prabhupada laughs. And the devotees say, Jai, Hari Bol, Prabhupada. He loves his devotee more than himself. Rishikesh, why didn't Krishna kill everyone at the battle of Kurukshetra? Prabhupada, yes. So Rishikesh, he picked up very quickly on this. Just like Krishna is giving Arjuna all the praise. Why? Because he loves his devotee more than himself. What Krishna needs? That fame, that glory. He doesn't need that. He has all the glory in the spiritual world. Here we're competing for that. So Krishna, he supplies that. Okay, you want to be famous? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you want to be famous? Be famous as a great devotee of Krishna. And then Prabhupada says, Krishna, by his simple desire, he could kill. He said, therefore, Bhavishvatvam pravityama acheyat nagaradigram sarvatra pracham hai bemoranam. In every town, village of the world, the chanting of my name will be heard. He is leaving the task for somebody else. So, yeah, and in the same way, Mother Malini, she actually shared how, in the same way, Prabhupada, he leaves us this task to go out and distribute Krishna consciousness in every town and village. So many places that not everyone heard about Krishna consciousness there, including Alachua. Yes, many people didn't hear about Krishna consciousness, even in Alachua, the Mayapur of the United States of America. Some devotee told me that's how he perceives Alachua. That was Prahlad, but he's gone now. Anyways. So I feel it's a nice point to end the session, but I invite you just to close up, to check out, to share what is going for you. Reading these, we read 3 verses, 44, 42, 43, 40, 42, 43, 44, 45, 4 verses. Yeah, we read 4 verses. And we're coming to the conclusion of, okay, who raised? Oh, yes. Yes, Prabhu, please.
Dingle Prabhu, yeah.
Yes, Dingle Prabhu.
I just wonder, who is this Prahlad? Is he the one from Australia?
No, this is Prahlad Prabhu from here, from Alachua. He's an expert Mridanga player, and he's a Mridanga teacher. So he's
really?
a Mridanga teacher in our community here.
Was he born in the movement?
I think so. I'm not too familiar, but yeah, I think he was born in Mayapur, and he's here now with us.
Okay. Thank you. That's all. That's all.
Hare Krishna. Kim, which one was your favorite verse? Which verse you
The
connected the most
first,
to?
I love the first one.
Mm.
I love the first one you opened up with, and how, Queen Kunti was begging like she was for devotion instead of to her family. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, it's such a visually emotional verse, like as the Ganges forever flow to the ocean without hindrance, seemingly make my attachment. What is that? Make my attachment constantly drawn onto you. Yeah. Yeah, I personally, I cannot live for too long far from a water reservoir, either a river or an ocean. So it moves me in many different ways, this mantra. How about you, Bhakti Keith Prabhu? What was your favorite verse from these 4 verses?
That one.
The first one too?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful verse.
Have you heard? Have you guys heard that the song by Janavi, "Like a River"? Flows like a river to the sea, will always be a river of grace that flows through me. Will always be, will always be. You were going to say something? Did you hear that one, Cam?
No, it's very pretty, but I've never heard it.
Oh, check it out. Jahnavi, even if you look up Harrison, because her last name is Harrison, like George Harrison, and Like a River, it's really nice.
Like
She's
a river.
Yeah, she's quite popular, and she's a really amazing musician and beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. I will.
And I'd like to just say, Keith, don't give up your day job. Have a nice day.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, Dingleberry.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for your concern. I appreciate your genuine concern for me.
You're right.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimati Kunti Dev ki jai. Tagora Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much.